Hello there, thank you for joining me. My name is Michelle. I'm a personal trainer and yoga teacher in the Boston area. And in this video, I'm going to share with you some of my go-to exercises for recovery. Okay, so if you're recovering from a back injury, knee injury, hip injury, I personally did a lot of these exercises during my recovery phase after having children. So it's going to be working a lot of the core, really stabilizing the foundation of your core, your pelvic floor, hip stability, and it's quite gentle in some ways, but then we also are going to create a lot of strength and intention with some of the movements that we're going to be doing. You're going to need some props. You can get creative with things around your house. Having some pillows, some throw pillows, bed pillows are fine. Sometimes blankets. I have a bolster, a yoga bolster. It's kind of a flat, long pillow, so it's fairly firm. So get, again, creative with things around your house. I have a set of weights for a little extra added weight, a little resistance. I only have just 2 5-pound weights and a block, which you can, again, get creative with a book or something around your house. So, take your time, set that stuff up, and we're going to go ahead. We're going to get started on our hands and knees. All right, so just finding your way to your hands and knees, stacking your shoulders over your wrist. Make sure your fingers are spreading out nice and wide, pressing down through the outer palm and down through the fingertips, trying to take some of the weight just out of the wrist, right? A lot of times the weight can fall onto the wrist, and then making sure our hips are stacked over our knees. We're going to exhale, round your spine into a cat shape, tucking your tail, tucking your chin in towards your chest, push the floor away, and then inhale, coming into a sway back, let your belly drop, lifting your tail, lifting your gaze up, and then again, exhale, round, push the floor away, tuck your chin, and then inhale, coming into that sway back. Do that a few more times. Try to bring that awareness to your spine. Really articulating the spine and the movement of the vertebrae. Using the exhales as you round the spine. Really pushing through the hands. Pushing down through the tops of the feet and the shins. And then inhale, coming into that sway back cow. Nice. Last one. Take it slow. And then we'll come to a nice long spine. Flat back. Reaching your crown of your head forward as you extend the tail all the way back. And now we'll go ahead, we'll get ready for a opposite limb extension. You're going to extend your right leg back, right? And if you can, try to flex your ankle and turn all 5 toes down towards the floor. And then add the left arm, reaching the left arm straight ahead. Gaze can go down the arm to the fingertips. Try to even your shoulders and your hips without swaying in the back. So try not to let that belly drop, but think of hugging your belly to the back of your body. And then we'll go ahead, we'll lower the hand and knee down. And we're going to do the same thing to the other side. So just starting with the leg first. Try to flex the ankle, turning all 5 toes down to the floor, especially that little pinky toe. All right, and then as you stabilize in the low body, you reach the right arm forward, opposite limbs, reach away, gazing down the arm. See if you can take a nice noticeable inhale, noticeable exhale, and then slowly release your hand in your knee. And now we'll just sway the hips just a little side to side, release any tension that can sometimes build up in those hips. And then circle those hips around. And reverse the circles in the other direction. And then let's take some of the weight out of the wrists. Let's come into a little child's pose here. You can sink the hips back towards your heels. Release your forehead to the ground. Right, if this is a little bit too intense sometimes for the ankles or the knees, you can always come a little bit further ahead into puppy pose, right? That way the hips are over the knees, and then release the forehead down to your arms. You can grab for opposite elbows and just let your head rest. Again, sway those hips a little side to side, release. And you start to feel, okay, there was that strength work we did, and now we release, we let it go. You can feel a little bit of that warmth in the joints that you build up. We're going to get ready to head back into some strength. So go ahead, find that nice tabletop. Really create that nice stacking of your shoulders over your wrist, knees directly over your hips. And now we're going to go ahead, you're going to reach that right leg back. Again, squaring all 5 toes and hips to the floor, and then reach the left arm forward. Take a big inhale. As you exhale, can you round the spine and hug your elbow to your knee? And inhale, reach opposite limbs away. Exhale again, elbow to knee, round the spine, push the floor away like cat. And then inhale, create that big long line of energy, reaching out through the heel and reaching out through the fingertips. Great, 2 more times, nice and slow. And if you're finding difficulty balancing and really coordinating that right leg and left arm, you can always return the hand to the floor and just work with the leg, pulling the knee towards the nose, rounding the back into cat. Inhale, long spine into that tabletop reach, and then we'll release. All right, let's slowly lower down to our elbows, grabbing onto those biceps, and then again, sway a little side to side. And we're doing this to give that little release to the wrist, but you also can feel how you can release the hips. As you rest your head, you can always wiggle the elbows forward a little bit, and you'll feel a nice opening in the low back. All right, last little breath here. And then we'll come back on up again to all fours. All right, as you come to all fours, we'll do the other side. So we're going to extend that left leg back. Again, squaring the hips, reach the right arm forward. Find length with a big inhale. Hug your belly in tight. And then exhale, round the spine. Hug, elbow to knee, squeeze. Inhale, reach. And exhale, squeeze, elbow to knee. Try to hold the breath out for just about a second or 2. And then inhale, reach. You can always, again, bring that hand to the floor and just work the leg. Until you get more strength, you can always add more. And last one, big inhale to reach. And exhale, squeeze. Inhale, reach, push back through the heel, stretch forward through your fingertips, and then lower your hands and knee down to the ground. Again, lower down to your elbows, hug for opposite elbows, release your head down, and just gently sway those hips a little side to side. So that builds a lot of core strength and stability. Nice release at the end. Let's go ahead and come on up to our hands and our knees. I'm going to turn to face forward. All right, here. So we're going to step your right foot out to the side. All right, stacking those shoulders over your wrist. Reach your right arm up. Reach up and look up towards your right hand. And then reach your right fingertips forward. Create length. Release the fingertips down. And then inhale, slowly sweep and circle that arm up. Like you're doing a big swim stroke with that right arm. This is a nice way to release tension in the spine. But then you can also feel there's some core work here I want you to think about as you round that corner, you lower down. You want to keep hugging that belly button back into your spine. Feel that little resistance. And then as you reach up, you want to lift up out of that left shoulder and wrist. Last one, you can place your hand and shoulder down. We're going to do the second side. Woo. All right, step that left foot out. Stack your shoulders over your wrist. Inhale, reach your left arm up. And then exhale, circle. Sweep that arm forward and down. And then again, inhale, circle, sweep it back around and up. I love this movement because it really feels like a nice good yawn. Last one, big inhale. Reach it up. Exhale, lowering that hand down. And now we're going to go ahead, we're going to transition onto our back. Okay? As you come onto your back here, I want you to grab a couple of props and make sure you have them nearby. Your weights and your block. And then we're going to come onto the back with the knees bent, stacking the heels directly above the knees. Let me slide this out of the way. There we go. And then you're going to take your hands onto your hips, right? And I want you to feel the bony hips. We're going to take a big inhale. And then as you exhale, you're going to exhale out the mouth. Start to feel that low belly hugging in. Feel the navel pull in. And then you're going to take your hands to your ribs and feel those ribs hugging in as you exhale. All right, now as you inhale, you'll feel the breath move out. You're going to inhale through the nose. Feel the ribs expand out. And then as you exhale, empty the breath out the mouth. Start to feel those ribs hugging in. You can feel that navel to spine. It's like a funneling of the belly button to spine. And then when you're ready to inhale, again, inhale. And you can gently press onto the ribs just to really feel the diaphragm, the deep tissue, the deep muscles working. Let's go ahead, exhale, empty your breath. Emptying it completely and feeling that gentle hug inward. Great, do that 2 more times on your own, really feeling the movement of the breath as you inhale. Taking a moment to pause at the top of the inhale. And then exhale completely. Pausing at the bottom of the exhale. Feeling just slightly breathless. And then inhaling again. Nice and slow. Try not to force the breath, but allow the breath to happen a little bit more naturally. All right, and now we'll go ahead, we'll start to add some of the movement to the breath, because the breath and that is really that first connection with activating the deeper core muscles. Like I said, pulling that low belly in, drawing and hugging those ribs in. We're going to do a dead bug, right? I like to start off before doing dead bug, quite right, with the knees over your hips and just simply squeezing here, right? And we want to have the knees directly over the hips, the shins parallel, and try your best to flex your ankles, really lift and spread your toes, right? And you're going to squeeze the block, and as you squeeze that block, you're going to push into the front of your thighs, right? And when you do that, you're going to feel your core really activate. So stay with that nice deep breath work, inhaling through the nose. Exhale out the mouth. Really focusing on that low belly exhalation, hugging in. Inhale. Keep the belly engaged as you inhale. That gets tricky, right? And then exhale. Empty and hold that breath out. Keep squeezing that block. Keep pressing your hands into your thighs. And then release. You can feel how there could be some tension that does build up in those hip flexors, but I want you to really feel how you're activating the low abdomen. All right. This, if it felt like too much, maybe if you're at the beginning stage of healing, I know right after having my baby, like the first couple of weeks after, with the permission, of course, to exercise for my doctor, that was almost impossible, right? So you could always start with your feet on the floor and then work your way up to bringing those knees over your hips. All right, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a little bit of bridge with the block, squeezing that block. Make sure the knees are over the heels. You're going to bring your arms right by your sides. I'm going to have you bend the elbows so you really feel how you want to press the elbows, the back of the triceps, and the shoulders into the ground, and lift those hips up. Squeeze your glutes, right? Your butt muscles, your hamstrings. Just hold it here, isolating the muscles. Right, just like we did before, we're going to connect with that breath. Same breath, inhaling through the nose. Exhaling out the mouth. See what it feels like to really gather. We're going to squeeze as well, the glutes a little more. See the difference of using the block when you're doing the bridge. Last breath, stay with it, nice and slow. We're doing about 5 rounds of breath, isolating the muscles. And then we're going to release. All right, let's go ahead and get rid of that block. Hug those knees to your chest. You can let the knees go a little wider and just rock a little side to side. So now we're releasing again. Release always feels extra good after the work. Now we'll slow that movement down. We're going to go ahead and bring those feet to the floor. And now we're going to get ready for that next level. We're going to reach the arms up. Arms are right over the shoulders, knees over hips, right? Just like before, that nice 90-degree angle. Don't let those knees come forward. Mine always try to come close to my chest. Your body's going to keep doing that, but keep checking those knees over your hips. Keep pulling the back to the floor, navel to your spine. And now we'll add the right leg reaching forward as the left arm reaches back. And then inhale, come back to the center. Right? Or inhale, reach it out. And exhale, squeeze it back in. There it is. Inhale, extend those arm and leg away. Hold. And then exhale, squeeze it in. We're doing opposite limbs, reaching away. Big inhale as you reach. Hold. Exhale, bring it in. Hold, squeeze. Inhale. So we're using that same breath with that little pause. Both at the top of the inhale. And that exhale as you bring it back together. Try to keep those knees over the hips, arm over the shoulder. Squeeze it back in. Great. One more time to each side. Keeping that low back to the floor. Keeping that low belly hugging in tight. Ribs hugging tight. Last one, reaching the left leg. Right arm. Bring it back in. And then release. This time the feet are on the floor. Wiggle those feet a little bit wider than hips width apart. Rock those knees to side to side. And you can stretch those arms out nice and wide. Nice. Good work. Next, we're going to go ahead. We're going to do another round of bridge. We're going to use the block again. And the block is really going to help to build a lot of stability, right? So you really want to feel both the inner edges of your feet pressing down and the outer edges of your feet pressing down. You're really driving through the heels and start to wake up the feet by starting to spread the toes as best as you can. Right? Sometimes they don't work. They don't do it, right? You just keep channeling that energy down there. Now we're going to press down through the back of the arms and the elbows, lift the hips, squeeze the glutes, and then exhale. Drop those hips down just a little bit. Press to the heels, lift the hips, inhale, exhale, lower, hold. Again, find that breath. We're doing about 10 here. Nice work. Last one. All right, lower those hips all the way down. Remove the block out of the way. And then you're going to roll on over to your right side. I'm going to use the block here. This is a little trick as a pillow, or you can just simply use a pillow. Right? And then the weight is where it's going to come in handy here. We're going to be doing some clamshells. You know, and if you don't have a weight, you can always just press your hand down into the side of your legs. We're going to be in a fetal position, so you want to make sure that that heel is lined up underneath your tailbone. Knees are stacking, right? And then we're going to take that top leg up and down. And so you want to make sure that weight is kind of a little bit closer to your knee, not on the knee, but just a little bit above it. That's going to create a little bit more of that resistance down into that leg. You want to keep squeezing the feet together and lifting and lowering this leg. Okay, this is round one. Right, you should start to feel the inner and outer hip starting to warm up, right? You can feel that heat right around the hip and the butt. Right, this movement can seem quite simple, but it is probably one of the number one therapeutic movements, right? Because oftentimes we don't move throughout our daily life sideways like this. So these muscles become out of tune, right? Especially if you're dominant, like most of us are, right side dominant, right? Maybe you're left side dominant. We're doing high reps here, so we're going to try to get to about 20. I'll admit, I lost my count. That's, you work with me before, you always know. I ask you to do the counting, right? That's all right, because I'm really feeling into my body, and also listening to your body is also important. Really feeling that point where it gets fatigued. Great, let's do one more. I can feel my muscles are fatigued. I'm guessing you're starting to feel it too. All right, so now we can go ahead, we can put that weight down. Now we're going to go ahead and do the inner thigh. So you're going to take that top foot, you can put that top foot forward and straighten that bottom leg, right? If you can't get your foot to the floor like I have mine, I wasn't actually always able to do this. You can always bring your knee forward. You can also pad that knee up with a pillow or something. And then your bottom leg, you want to make sure it's straight. So you want to make sure that leg isn't piked out forward or too far back, and you should be able to really draw that straight line from your crown of your head down. You want to make sure your right shoulder is over your left, so go ahead and reach that top arm up, and we're going to lift that bottom leg up and down. Right? And as you lift that bottom leg up and down, can you hug that waistline away from the floor? That bottom waistline up away from the floor. And you can even take that hand, just like I did, and kind of feel what it's like to lift that bottom side up. Right, and as you lift and lower that leg, that bottom leg is not a huge lift. See if you can flex the ankle and really think about reaching through the heel. This long line of energy through that inner thigh, straight out through the heel. Nice work again. Stay with it. Ooh, this one starts to burn. All right, and this one can be really kind of difficult to control. So I want to make sure you're not flopping the foot, you're controlling it on the way up, holding it, and on the way down, right? You lift it, you hold it, and last one, we'll lower down. All right, now I'm going to go ahead, and I'm going to come on to my back again, right? We're going to come back to the dead bug, arms over shoulders, knees over hips. Feel that back press to the floor. Feel that navel pulling back to your spine. And then begin opposite limb reach. Right, this is one of the best core exercises because it works the front, back, and sides of the body. It takes a lot of mind and body coordination. So notice, if you're reaching your leg forward and the other arm back, where is your arm, your other arm and knee? Keep it over the shoulder. Keep it over the hip. Don't let it go with it. A lot of times we end up doing this. Right, try to keep arm over shoulder, knee over hip. Last one. Left leg, right arm. Even it out. Feet to the floor, arms by your sides. Oh yeah, go ahead and grab that block. Stacking your knees over your heels. We'll lift, hold, squeeze the butt muscles, right? And lower down. These two exercises complement one another. That's why I always do them together. Nice work. Stay with it here. We're never lowering the back all the way to the floor. We're pausing. Right, try not to rush it. Last one. Lower those hips down. We're going to go over to the other side. Right, so I'm just going to get up and turn to the other side so I can see you and you can see me. So we're starting again with that clamshell. Stacking your feet. Make sure your tail is in line. Shoulders are over your hips. We'll grab that weight and then we'll lift and lower. Nice. So moving slow. Again, holding at the top, remembering that breath. See if you can lift that bottom waistline away from the floor. And as you do that, you feel how your muscles start to hug into the bone, supporting the body and the body's movement rather than just laying there. Right? Creating that intention, which is something, you might not even be able to see from the outside. I might not see it when I'm looking at you, but if you're doing it, you feel it in your body. There's a big difference. Nice. Stay with it here. 2 more. Last one. And then we'll let go of that weight. Right? Inner thigh, you straighten the bottom leg nice and long. Flexing the ankle. And again, choose if you need to prop up your knee. It might feel different on this side. Your hip could have a bit of flexibility. And then we're going to lift that bottom leg up and down. Again, super control. Even in this tiny movement up and tiny movement down, there's a lot that happens, right? If we're moving dysfunctionally in our hips, maybe we're tight in our hips, you might feel some jagged zigzagging of the leg. So try to fine tune it. You want to make sure that leg stays in line with the crown of the head, down through the heel, that tailbone down through the heel. Strengthening pelvic floor, hips, right? Inner outer thigh. Nice work. 2 more. All right, last one. You can lower it down. All right, we're going to go ahead. We're going to roll onto our back again. 1 more round of that glute bridge, right? Stacking these over your heels, squeezing your block. Arms are right by your sides. Bend the elbows. Press down. You're going to lift up, squeeze, and lower down. Lift and squeeze. Exhale, lower down. You can feel all that nice strength and energy right around your hips, right around your low abdomen, your whole core. Nice work. Last one. Let's lower it down. And now we'll go ahead and remove. Reach your arms up, knees up, pull the belly back. Right, then begin. Use that breath. Inhale to reach. Hold, exhale, squeeze. Bring it back in. Inhale, reach. Exhale. Last one. Left leg, right arm. And release. All right, we're going to go ahead and rock those hips a little side to side. Again, release any tension that can sometimes build up in the hips and the low back. And then you're going to roll on over to your side. Let's go ahead and sit on up nice and tall. You're going to stretch those legs out in front of you. Clear the flesh out from underneath your sitting bones. Right? And if you can get your feet up against a wall, that's great, or your block, something to help those feet to create a little bit more support in front of those feet, so that you can start to stretch those muscles along the back of the calf muscles. You can always bend those knees a little bit, especially if the knees are really, if the hamstrings are really tight and you feel pulling in your low back and you find that you're rounding forward. You want to bend those knees so that you can, till you can sit up nice and tall. Right? You can always take those fingertips by your sides and then feel how you're using your core again, lifting that low belly in, lengthening up through the crown of your head. And now we're going to go ahead and fold forward. So again, option to have those knees bent. If your knees are bent, it can be nice to kind of bring those hands behind the legs. You can release your head forward, chin towards your chest. And you're breathing here, just taking a few breaths to release. We're going to do some strength work next. So go ahead and roll your spine up. Sit up nice and tall. I'm just going to move that block out of the way for now. We're going to hug your right knee in. You can interlace both hands. This is going to help you to sit up nice and tall. And then you're just going to lift and lower that left leg. All right, you're lifting and lowering. And again, always trying your best to flex the ankle and point those toes up. Try to spread those toes out wide. This is what I like to call the yogi toes. It took me a lot of work to be able to spread my toes. They always kind of were almost like, I call them sleepy toes. I had no control over them. And now that I can kind of move them, it just makes me so proud. It's always the little things, right? Last one. And then release. Okay, we're going to do the same thing to the other side. So you can go ahead and hug. Oh, I almost forgot. Sorry. Hug that right knee in. I almost forgot a nice little twist here. You're going to take that right foot, cross it over the left. Again, hugging the knee in, sit up tall. We're going to find a little twist towards the right. You can take the right fingertips behind you, pressing those fingertips into the spine to help you sit up nice and tall and twist. Look over your right shoulder. You can keep hugging your knee in. You could even hook your elbow if you like. All right, let's slowly unwind. We're going to do the same thing to the other side. Now you can bend that left foot, put it on the floor, hug that leg in, and that's going to help you to sit up tall. And then we're going to lift and lower that right leg, flexing the ankle. When you flex the ankle, you're going to feel how that makes the quad muscles really activate, right? And you can see those muscles and feel those muscles hugging in. Try to make sure those toes are pointing straight up, right? Not out to the side like this. Don't just try to muscle through it. We want to have those toes pointing straight up. We want to get that movement going up and down. All right, my hips were really externally rotated. I had some imbalances when I first started doing yoga, and my foot was always like this. And it was just such a strain just to do that. Again, it's those little things, and this is the tune-up. This is the practice that's important to keep doing throughout your whole life, right? These little movements, not just the big ones. All right, last one. Whew. All right, now we're going to do that stretch. Cross the foot over. Sit up nice and tall. We're going to get ready for the twist, hooking the elbow over the knee, bringing the left fingertips behind you. Looking over that left shoulder as you spiral that belly button towards the inner left thigh. Find some nice, easy breaths, some good exhales, squeezing. Inhale, also starting to relax a little. Let's release out. You're going to draw the soles of the feet together. We're going to get ourselves set up for what I like to call the queen pose. It's Supta Baddha Konasana, right? It's a mouthful. If you're not familiar with what that is, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to show that to you. We're going to use basically all the pillows you've got. So I'm going to take my bolster. I'm going to prop my bolster up with a little bit of height using some pillows. Again, this is where you kind of have to get creative. You could also use blocks back there as well. I'm just going to put a block and a pillow to give it a little extra height, right? If your low back is sensitive, you want to create a little bit more lift so that there's not a big, so that you're not doing this big exaggerated movement, right? You want to make sure that as you go to lay back, you're sitting up close to your support. I'm not sitting on it, I'm right up against it. Now you can kind of see I'm right up against it. And then I'm taking these two other pillows, equal sized pillows, I'm going to put under my knees with my soles of my feet together and my knees wide. So I create a diamond-like shape. You can make that diamond however big or wide or narrow as it feels comfortable for your own hips, right? And then again, using as much support as you can so that you can really just let go with gravity, right? If you're really flexible, myself, I have really open hips, and some of you might even have tighter hips. You could add a little weight. Sometimes it's tricky figuring out where to put it. Mine kind of roll towards my hips. I'm going to keep it a little bit closer towards here so I can let it rest. I wouldn't do any more than 5 pounds. Even 5 pounds could be kind of pushing it. And we don't want to be feeling any pain. So if you're feeling pain, get rid of the weights. Just let gravity do the work. All right, we're going to go ahead and lay on back. You can always make a few adjustments as you come to lay down. Maybe moving your ponytail out of the way. Make sure your clothing is out of the way. And then let the arms come out nice and wide with the palms facing up. And now here, we're going to just let go of the breath. So that deep core work we started with, where we were squeezing and activating those deeper pelvic floor muscles. I don't want you to do that anymore. Just take some easy breath and start to just breathe in and out through the nose. No longer trying to control your breath, but allow your breath to happen naturally. Observe the breath. As you inhale through the nose, you feel the body rising on the inhale and falling on the exhale. And you're just noticing that. And anytime the thoughts start to roll in, and they will, they always do, come back to that breath, observing the breath, rising, falling. And you don't have to do anything to make the breath happen. The breath happens automatically. And you're just becoming more aware of the breath. And observing how the mind draws you back. And then you come back to your breath. observe the breath, you notice these subtleties of the breath, its movement, its texture, its sound. And you might notice the sounds around you, smells around you. You are in this moment. And anytime the mind starts to wander off into thoughts and stories and to-do lists, I gently remind you, and you remind yourself, to come back to your breath and observe the natural beauty of the inhale. Rising, rising, and the exhales falling, falling. And know that every day you come back to this practice of observing your breath. It's going to be different. Some days it'll be easy, you'll settle right into it. And other days the mind will be restless. But you continue to come back to the practice, using it as a tool to ground you. As you let go of all the other stuff. We'll just call it stuff. One more time, come back to that breath. Rising, rising. Falling, falling. And then slowly, slowly start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Taking a deep breath in and swallow. And taking your time as you slowly start to draw those legs in towards one another. Taking some deep inhales, slow exhales. We'll roll on over to our side. Push your way up towards a seated position. And sitting up nice and tall. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you were able to enjoy and this therapeutic exercise routine, which is a little bit of both almost like physical therapy and yoga all mixed up into one ball, right? Thank you so much for your time. Take care.